everyone, and welcome to B2B Purchase Procurement series on crushing and screening demand and supply challenges. India needs around 5,000 million tons of construction aggregates, in which 40 to 45% are crushed stone aggregates. With construction and infrastructure development continuing to grow in future, the demand and supply gap for aggregates is going to become challenging in future. With the ban on natural sand mining has opened up opportunities for manufactured sand, the use of aggregates from construction and demolition waste will reduce increased dependence on natural resource and disposing of C&D waste. So delegates, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you to address distinguished speakers. Mr. Radha Raman Jha, Head, Crushing and Screening, GR Infra Projects. Mr. Abhinav Srivastava, Country Manager Sales, Terex MPS. Mr. Sooraj Cherukat, Head Sales and Marketing, Hailstone Private Limited. Mr. Rachit Agarwal, Director, Rajat and Sons Private Limited.
Radha Raman sir, I'm coming to you with this question. In your submission, you said that on day-to-day basis, we face many challenges regarding crushing and screening solutions. Can you list out few challenges and how you are dealing with this?
Actually, what I said earlier, the micro level of supervision is required on the time of productions, because we have to ensure the quality, but along with quality for our projects. So if we deployed correct manpower for the experienced manpower for the plant operations, definitely we can avoid such kind of this issues during the productions. So already I have told earlier, so we are quality is on our top priority, so we cannot compromise with quality during the production, and mainly during the sand productions, we are normally using this dry as well as wet method to produce the sand, and there is a lot of this constraint. There is a lot of constraints during the sand production, because we don't have earlier, so which crushers we have to select to produce the sand, and it is totally different, and it totally depends upon the nature of feed materials. And if once we select the crushers, and if strata is changed during the production, definitely we have to we will be get it daily basis challenges to ensure the good quality of sand during the productions. This is the day-to-day basis challenges we are getting during the plant operations. And as we know, crusher is the heart of the road project, and we cannot complete our project on time without the proper planning of the aggregates. This is the thing.
Yes, surely. Thank you so much, Radha, for sharing this. Thank you so much, Mr. Sooraj. One of our delegates, Mr. Sundar, was asking a question directly related to manufacturing sand or artificial sand. He says that if any customer is interested to invest and deploy one crushing plant with M sand, what will be the time frame required for break even, or what must be the regular challenges they face for starting one?
See, it primarily depends on how much capacity of the plant he is planning to. So on a normal range, if people are considering about sand, there are two perspectives. One thing is that how much running hours he is planning to run. Like there are in few states like Kerala and all, they can run a maximum to 10 hours, which is as per the norms of the government. But if you go to the neighboring Tamil Nadu or into Maharashtra or even into Andhra, then they can run up to 22 hours. 22 hours, practically 2 hours being considered for the periodic maintenance activities. Same side in particular places of Andhra, they have power issues, they can run only at night. So first priority will be how much of hours they can run. So based on that and the market demand, what we do normally plants are starting from 100 or I can say from 150 tons to 400, 500 tons. So break even will hugely depend on how much quantity he has to make and to sell off. That is the first thing. On an average, in Indian market is concerned, majority of the people will be going with 250 to 300 tons of capacity. That is an average one, and the break even will happen predominantly in 2 to 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 years, provided the sellable products are being sold in a good manner. And if you consider the risks are, this is a particular industry where the risk is enormous. The crushing industry is like, I feel like it is one of the most risky one, because as Mr. Abhinav was very clearly stating, first thing is that it is very unorganized. Second thing is that the stringent rules, the other things, and the major caption, like we are against the nature, it will hindrance the daily smooth procedure on a bigger extent. So risks are endless, but yeah, if we are going on a very stipulated thing and we are going on as per the government norms and all these things perfectly and ensuring that each and every documentation is done, and in that perspective, predictive maintenance activities can be done in the risk also. That is my perspective. Okay.
Yeah, got it, Mr. Sooraj. And Abhinavji, this is again addressing to the demand and supply, challenges. Would you like to add something to what Mr. Sooraj said?
Yeah, whatever Sooraj say, I totally agree with him. One of the thing, it's a risk business. Second thing is what he said, it is against environment. What happens is, though it's a great employer also, if there is a one crushing plant in an area, it will require nothing less than say 50 to 60 people to run the entire operation. However, in India or say maybe abroad also, people have a habit of, when they realize that it's a milking cow, then they will gather all people, and though they will not be having any information of environment, but they will create issue over there and try to extract money out of it. And since you have made such a big investment, like crushing plants are not a small investment. If you look into the land cost, operation cost, covering cost, they are a huge cost, a huge investment. So obviously, what will be the easy way out? Okay, give something to them and do it. But once you give it, it becomes a regular issue. And those are the things which hamper business. If you see nearby Rajasthan area, we have plants operating in this Firozpur Jirka area. Often they will cut the road. Why? Because someone has not got the payment. Same thing is happening in areas of Northeast. They will not allow you to work until unless you make a regular payments to them. So government, it is not only giving an infrastructure project to the contractor, they also need to ensure safety. These are the challenges.
It was very bold, and you addressed the burning areas of the business.
This is the fact in construction industry. Everyone knows this. It is nothing hidden.
But still, it required some spine to address that burning areas. Thank you so much for raising, mentioning that point. Also, the same delegate was asking how far the COVID scenario impacted crushing and screening sector.
I'll say what happened is, particularly we were hugely affected during the 4 or 5 months. 4 months, I'll say. However, as soon as this was over, government pressurized all the contractors to start and finish the work. Like Radha Raman sir is here, we have supplied a couple of plants, and it was it has to be started on yesterday basis because he was facing huge pressure from government to start the work. So I'll say stationary and wheel mounted plant took a hit. However, at the same time, it was usually compensated by the track mounted units, mobile plants. Since they have to quickly start, they didn't have time of say 45-60 days to install a plant. They wanted that it should be readily available and crush it, and at a certain time it can handle 3 or 4 sites. So though it affected a certain segment of business, but overall it turned out to be good, and market since then is constantly picking up. There are new projects on a daily basis which are being awarded. Funding has eased out. Earlier there was during pandemic, there was a huge crunch in terms of funding these plants. Now financiers have eased out norms and they are ready to fund it. So market is growing. I hope it should be continuing in 2022. After that, again, we can see a slight dip into the market. As of now, the temporary effect of COVID has now gone. It only affected for 4-5 months.
You reinstated the confidence in your response. Thank you so much, Mr. Abhinav. Mr. Rachit, I am coming to you with a question that Mr. Abhinav was sharing in his presentation about challenges related to finance, challenges related to increasing interest rate. So how do you see procuring a plant? How easy it is, because you have direct experience in that.
Yeah, I mean, if I may, I'd like to share my very recent experience. Of course, interest rates are high, but they are not at an all-time high. There have been interest rates higher than this before, so it can go down still. But of course, I mean, if funding is available at such a rate, business is viable. So it's not such that funding is not available or it's expensive. It's moderate right now, first. And secondly, we've recently got one of our plants financed, which is just like 15 days back. So I mean, our experience with the bank was very smooth, very comfortable, and they were eager, probably also because my books allowed, or maybe they had some comfort for a customer like me. I don't know what the factors worked, but yeah, definitely for me it was very easy to procure financing. And I believe that track mounted plants have still, I mean, they are still easier to get financed, rather than modular or chassis mounted plants, because they can be moved easily. So owning and operating them is still easier as compared to a static plant. That is what I experienced in the last 3 years once I owned it. And what my company's experience says is this only.
Yeah, probably, many of our listeners must be wanting to reach out to you to know the name of the bank. I'm sure about it. Yes, Mr. Abhinav, you were wanting to add something to it, right?
Yes, there are. As I earlier stated, that crushing industry was mostly unorganized. Now he is into fourth generation. So obviously, like his finance and books will be well maintained. However, there are say 50-60% of people who are into this business, but banks are not ready to fund them. So obviously they will fund them if they get good interest rate. I have seen cases where banks are like fighting with each other to give a better rate, and because customer has maintained its scope. Since it is an unorganized sector, most of the players, they now, as the generation changes, like if you see Mr. Rachit is entering into the business, similarly many other people who are entering into business, they are of say 25, 26 years of age. They have a altogether different mindset, altogether different working style. They do everything on mobile, unlike their forefathers or say parents who are very comfortable in doing written work. So those things are changing. They are getting into maintenance of proper books, proper returns, so that they can get good funding in future.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Abhinav. Mr. Ganeshan Natarajan want to know, what is the scope potential for importing sand and aggregates in India? Mr. Abhinav, yes, coming to you.
Actually, there is a huge scope for exporting to nearby nations. If you say Bangladesh doesn't have any quarry, most of the aggregate produced in West Bengal and say parts of Assam, they are being supplied to Bangladesh through rakes. And there is a huge demand for ballast material and minus say 28 mm material, which they are exporting. Same thing, if you target about importing, there was once like maybe 3 or 4 years back, there was huge demand of sand, and we have imported 3 lakh metric tons of sand to ship from Cambodia. So that is into process. They are already doing it. As of now, India is a net exporter for aggregate. They are supplying to Nepal, they are supplying to Bhutan, they are supplying to parts of Bangladesh. Sri Lanka itself has good quarry zones, so and not much of a development activities there. And you can understand that Pakistan and China we cannot supply. So for nearby nations, we have good scope. However, if you want to supply it from here to Middle East, it doesn't become viable. It depends on the freight charges. You can export and import from nearby nations. So.
Thank you. Mr. Sooraj, thank you so much, Mr. Abhinav. I hope Mr. Ganesh must be satisfied with your answer. Mr. Suraj, your presentation was very interesting and we couldn't cover all the slides. But I'm sure you must have also included in your presentation about the technology aspects of, or emerging technologies in crushing and screening. So how do you see, what are the new or innovative technologies which are emerging in this sector?
Primarily, first thing is again, I will point out to one point what Abhinav was mentioning. Lack of skilled labor. Lack of skilled labor was one or very hot burning issue in every crushing circuit. So how much we can automate the system, how much we can use artificial intelligence or very latest technology. That is a key point if I say about it, improvises the ease of use. The ease of use and thereby the productivity. Productivity is one thing which is being very much focused by each and every customer. Adding to the point of COVID and the uncertainty, there are two various things which is very much being focused by each and every customer. One is availability of the machine. Every customer wish to have his machine to be ready to produce something at least 80 to 90% of a day. And second thing is the return of investment. So in emerging technology, what I understand is that a majority of the OEMs or the EPC people are trying to improvise their availability of the machine and thereby the reliability of their machine, so that the machine is always available, ready to make products, thereby earning revenue for the customer. And second thing is predominantly lesser downtime and a better but cheaper also. One point I want to focus is that there is a tremendous increase in the price, steel price, then transportation prices, logistics prices. In a way, everything is increased, but on the other hand, people are not getting a bigger increase in the price for the products which they sell. So another thing is the cost of production and the cost of production of the machines by the organization, and second thing is the cost production of the materials. I can say the cost per ton, we call it. The cost per ton has to be reduced. So that is one focus area which every OEMs are focusing on now. So these two are the latest emerging, means technology wise, these are the emerging things which is being done. Now coming to the second thing is if any particular machineries. So specifically for sand and all these things, high frequency screens are one way which reduces the usage of water, but with limitations. It cannot be universally, it cannot be used all across India because of our monsoon and moisture content, which will be above 2% to 5%. And the other thing was the waste management. Waste management was a bigger issue when considered of manufacturing the sand. In that points, clarifiers or thickeners and all these things are being used. So likewise also improvements are happening, and simpler solutions, very fast installations which will start giving the revenue to the customer on a very nearer day, lesser civil works. So these many improvisations are happening from majority of the OEM's part. So that is it specifically for the new things which is happening.
Sure. Thank you so much for upgrading us, Mr. Suraj. Radharaman sir, Suraj was sharing about skilled manpower or training requirement, and you were speaking about the supervision required for plants. How do you see that? How critical it is to have skilled manpower at your place, and what kind of challenge you face in that?
Actually, people are normally focusing on the to achieve the daily target in terms of production. So at project levels, normally they have on daily basis targeted, and they have to ensure the quantity on daily basis. Once they ensure the quantity, definitely from the side peoples, they got appreciations and everything. But the thing is, quality along with quantity should be in proper way, and it will be effective productions. And we have to consider the plant health also on the time of operations, because in this industries, what Mr. Abhinav told earlier, so it is there is a dusty environment, so people are not normally come and join in this industries. So this is the very good and interesting industries. What I have said earlier, without crushers we cannot run the show of infrastructure projects. Mainly road projects we cannot complete without the proper planning of aggregate production by the help of crushers. We cannot assure the completion of the projects on time or on or before time. So definitely there is a shortage of quality people in these industries in all respects, like how to maintain the crushers in terms of operation and maintenance, and have to ensure the production obviously in terms of quality, but along with quality, what I am telling again and again, quality. Without quality, if we produce a lot of materials, but the quality is poor, definitely it will affect the projects overall projects quality, and we will not be able to hand over the projects after completion to the concerned authority in proper way. So again and again, to ensure the proper production from the overall, if we end of the day, if we have to ensure overall performance of the plant, definitely we have to ensure hiring the trained people with all respect, so that ultimately we will achieve our targets. So definitely there is a crisis of experienced people in this industry, mainly in testing and screening, and there is a lot of engineering. Engineering related to, of course, as a plant and equipment people, they normally involved in electromechanical things, but they need to know about the quality of the product. If it's not a plant and machine, it's a production unit actually. So once you produce anything, definitely you should know about the quality of the product. If you know about the quality of the product, definitely you may be the right authority to say, so okay, so this production is in the right way, or there is a further scope of improvement to get it the right quality of the material.
Mr. Rajit, I really want to know about your renting expertise as well. Like when and where crushing and screening equipment renting will be financially viable?
See, we need to see things with clarity. Okay, running a crusher plant has different types of costs involved. So first would be the capital cost, fuel, manpower, maintenance. So these are the costs involved. So if my customer is ready to pay all these costs, it is viable even today. Okay, but what happens is, in current scenario in the present market, people don't understand that running a plant has its own maintenance cost, which they don't prefer to pay because it may not be incurred during their time of use. So they would feel that they are paying this money as an unnecessary expense. So and this mindset basically, this mindset doesn't make renting a viable solution right now. If someone comes up to me and says that I can rent so and so plant from you, I would obviously charge them on a per ton basis. I may or may not operate that plant, but I would still charge them on per ton basis, which would include my capital cost, my EMIs or whatever, and my maintenance cost. If I am operating the plant, I would charge extra. If I am doing the feeding and the loading, I would charge extra. But specifically when I talk about a crusher plant, I would at least want my capital as well as my maintenance cost. But what they prefer to pay is whatever the EMIs and little bit of profit they assume that I should earn, not for the actual maintenance. So that is the first barrier. And the second thing happens is, suppose if someone agrees, there are people who've entered the market aggressively in this segment, thinking that they would make some money out of it. But what I've recently seen is that those people, whenever they give one of such plants to another customer, he says that suppose if there's a jaw or there's a concave mantle or there's some repair required in the conveyor, he would say that he needs a repaired or a changed part so that he can make full use of that. And that cost hasn't been recovered from the previous customer, and the new one is asking me to put in new money, So it doesn't make a viable sense for me right now. If they are ready to pay on a per ton basis, then it's viable right now also.
Mr. Sooraj, I have a question. If you can answer in 1 minute, that do you have any other alternative ownership options available for your plan in your selling models?
No, our selling models is like we don't have any alternative ownership models. We are directly selling to the customers. Later, we do this AMCs and OMCs, but not on a rental basis or any other alternative options.
Surely. Thank you so much, Mr. Sooraj. Mr. Abhinav, can I request you to give a closing statement for this session?
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone, Radharaman sir, Rachit ji, Sooraj, that we had a very interactive session on this demand of aggregates in market, as well as a few of the points like me as a seller, or maybe Sooraj as a seller, Radharaman sir as an user, and Rachit ji as an owner of crushing plant. We all had this different perspective of market. So it was a good platform where we came together and discussed various things. And hopefully going forward, we will be having more interactive sessions like this, so that we can come up, as a seller, we can devise our strategy which can benefit user as well as owner. And as Sooraj well said, that sand is becoming rare day by day. So we also, I'll not say to use alternative sand as a for profit, but we all are responsible for nature. In order to save our nature, we should try to implement to use alternative sand and manufactured sand. So thank you so much, and thank you B2B for giving us an opportunity to be here and discuss. Normally, I would never get an opportunity to meet Sooraj and Rachit ji maybe personally, but Radharaman sir, we are meeting regularly on a regular basis. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on crushing and screening, demand and supply challenges. We hope you have enjoyed the session. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Radharaman Jha, Mr. Abhinav Srivastava, Mr. Sooraj Cherukat, and Mr. Rachit Agarwal. I would also like to thank Associate Editor of B2B Purchase, Ms. Megha, and our editor, Mr. Prasad Nair, for taking this initiative. We would like our delegates and viewers to stay connected with us on our social media handles. B2B Purchase is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Additionally, you can also download our application on Google Play Store and App Store. So with this, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. Request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.